And welcome to this week's Sports Central. Guys, it's a Wednesday. We couldn't get together yesterday. We had some underlying circumstances that prevented us from doing a show yesterday. We're going to do it today. Guys, I'm just going to get right into it. We had an eventful weekend of football, not only in high school, but college. Not necessarily any upsets here or there, but we had some close games that maybe make you raise some eyebrows. Let's just jump into college games real quick. Kentucky. Not really any problems against Miami. Now, I will say this. I was really impressed with Miami Ohio's quarterback. I thought he was pretty good. And Miami Ohio is a team that may win the MAC this year.
They're picked to win the MAC.
They're picked to win the MAC.
They're good.
Kentucky's got to do something as far as they've got to get their offensive line sequence and their rotations down.
Right.
I think the left tackle had a lot of problems, and you saw this week they're moving Kenneth Horsey out to left tackle, and I think you'll probably see some Keontae Goodwin play some in the swamp this weekend.
I'm glad you said that. I knew that it wouldn't be long. That kid's just way too talented to have over on the sideline.
Yeah.
And don't be surprised if coach's boy might get some playing time here really soon.
Good chance.
He's going to get some playing time. Maybe not this week.
And when Rodriguez comes back, Kentucky's going to be they're going to be a threat this year.
Yeah, Rodriguez. Anybody that's familiar with that situation, of course, Kentucky's waiting on clearance from the NCAA right now, and Kentucky's never really made the issue public. If you know, you know. You don't, you don't. It's just one of those things where there's a lot of hit or miss stories with it. Now, I think I probably have a pretty accurate story. I'm not going to say it, but. Regardless, Kentucky's going to be without Chris Rodriguez and Gainesville against Florida, who defeated Utah Saturday, and they come out as a 4.5-point underdog.
I think Utah had that game. They had it driving down, and the kid got rattled at the end and threw a bad pick.
Yeah.
That's just all it down to. He threw a bad pick. But now, Florida is the beautiful team right now that everybody's jumping on their bandwagon.
They're nice and shiny.
Like everybody does South Carolina in the preseason
Sure.
because of Shane Beamer and his fancy shades and his
TikToks
and Spencer Rattler. But now it's Florida's turn, and Kentucky's going to go down there, and I know it's going to be difficult, but I think Kentucky. Roman Harper goes in and says that Kentucky's defense is soft.
Well, wait a minute now. I'm glad you said that because on Sunday, Roman Harper better wake up and he better hope to God that Florida won. Because if he don't, I'm gonna mention him on a Facebook post and ask him, was that soft enough for you?
I'm sure he'll get more questions.
You call out Big Blue Nation, they're gonna come after you. That's on social media, of course. What I mean.
Sure they will.
I don't think you can ever call a Mark Stoops team soft.
No. That's just a ridiculous statement. And Roman Harper, I respect Roman, especially with his time in Alabama, and he put a lot of great years in I think he played for the Saints in the NFL. He was a really good player. But he missed this one. And I can say that comfortably. Even if Kentucky goes and loses in Florida, they're everything but soft.
Yeah. Ask Georgia how soft Kentucky
Well, I can tell you that. I can tell you this. Jarquez Jones and DeAndre Square are not soft.
Yeah.
They're, two of the top linebackers in the country.
Yeah.
So, Roman Harper, for his Facebook and Twitter sake, better hope that Florida comes through and wins that game, because if they don't, Big Blue Nation will at him, send him messages and whatever. But that was a really put my foot in my mouth moment for him, I think. I cannot believe that he actually said that they were soft. But you know what he's doing? Exactly what he wants us to be doing. Yeah. We're discussing it. So, I like Roman Harper. I like him. I think that statement's probably not true, but I like him fairly well. Of course, Notre Dame and Ohio State played. Notre Dame held that lead for a long time, Coach. Ohio State really just offensively didn't look good for a long time. Ohio State ended up pulling away there at the end. C.J. Stroud made some plays towards the end of the game. An area that I thought Ohio State would be really good at was wide receiver. And, Coach, they're not right now.
No.
Their defense really, and kind of the flat tire on the bus last year was the Buckeye defense.
Sure.
And, of course, they had a brand-new defensive coordinator and Ohio State's defense. And I think that Notre Dame's inexperience at quarterback played a big role in that, too. So, of course, Ohio State goes on and wins that game. As you mentioned, Florida defeated Utah in the swamp. Florida scored, took a 4-point lead, I believe it was, and Utah drove the entire field, got down right, 3 or 4 yard line, and an experienced quarterback, a guy who's been there, returning starter. I think even Utah, they played in the Rose Bowl last year, didn't they not? I mean, throws an interception, the place goes wild. Florida, of course, they go from unranked to 12th in the AP poll.
You're still playing in the swamp, remember that, and you're still playing against elite athletes back there too. Florida always has good defensive backs, good athletes. He just made we don't know. We weren't in his shoes at the time. He just probably, if he'd love to have that pass back, he might hit 9 out of 10. But that certain pass, he threw it accurate. Took the opportunity, chance to try to beat them, didn't happen. So it was still a great football game.
Marshall won.
Yes.
We're going to have to talk about this one. This is one that Sean missed big time.
Uh-oh.
Louisville and Syracuse played over the weekend, and Louisville is the same Louisville. You picked Louisville.
Oh, gosh.
Louisville is the same Louisville they've been for the last 3 years, which is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know if Syracuse has beaten an opponent by as much as they beat Louisville Saturday since Jim Boeheim and Carmelo Anthony were on the floor at the Carrier Dome.
Yeah.
I mean, Syracuse is a tour. Now, Syracuse has had some teams. They beat Syracuse or Clemson up there in there a couple of times, but you should never lose to Syracuse 31-7, ever.
Well, the things that I've seen, like on the Louisville, message boards and Twitter posts, is that people are saying they quit. Louisville quit.
If Syracuse is making you quit, what do you think is going to happen when you play Kentucky?
Yeah, well, and a few other teams that they
in
got.
the first game of the season too.
I mean, the first game of the season too. They don't.
I have a hard time buying that they quit. I just think they got their tail whooped.
Yeah.
Period. I just don't think they're very good.
Well, either way about it, that's you either got your tail whooped or you quit. That's an indictment on the coach.
I would rather say my team got their tail whooped than say, hey, they quit.
That just means the coach didn't have them prepared.
Right. I mean, it is what it is. Well, I mean, they're too busy, and it's not hard to realize why they weren't
they're a
prepared.
fairly young team, right?
Well,
Louisville's a fairly young team this year.
I have no idea, but I can tell you.
You got to get some of these kids into the program, and understanding. Louisville in the past had some great teams.
Yeah, well, when you're too busy taking pictures with recruits next to sports cars,
called a little bit disciplined.
What's the stadium name now? Cardinal Stadium. Is it still Papa John's?
It's Papa John's.
Still Papa John's.
Papa John's.
And they did all this stuff during the off season. Had all these pictures. They signed all these recruits. And you go to Syracuse to get beat like that, those recruits won't be committed to Louisville long. I can promise you. We had some high school games around here in this area. Really good high school games.
Yeah.
Of course, me and MJ were at East Carter, and you guys got the night off. You guys got to watch a game from your house. I'll go ahead and break down the East Carter game. Estill County, I know that we all last week came in here and said, oh, East Carter's going to beat them running clock. It's not going to be close. We were all wrong. Yeah, East Carter won. Estill County is not a bad team. Yeah. They had a nice little running back named Arvin. They had a quarterback whose last name was Witt, who was really, really good. Arvin was the fastest kid on the field. Yeah. Estill County really impressed when they were good up front. That was not a bad Estill County team. Did East Carter play to their full potential? Probably not. Especially in the first half, they looked terrible. But Estill County, as far as time of possession and having yards, it probably was 50-50. I mean, Estill County had a chance there to potentially tie the game at the end. East Carter was the victors in that one, but I'm sure Tim Champlin's got some things he's going to address with his team because a couple of times on the sideline, he was not happy. So, now the two bigger games in our area, Wheelersburg made the trip to Russell, Coach.
Yeah, sure did.
We all picked Wheelersburg, which Wheelersburg did win, especially after we watched Russell quit against Raceland. They quit in the second half. It's no secret. They did. Yep. And I can guarantee you one thing, if I had their coaches here, they would have said the same thing. What a completely different team, Coach. Yeah. Russell really came out and was ready to play. A couple of mistakes here and there prevented Russell from winning the game. And there in the end of the third quarter, they were down 21-7. They still didn't give up. Yeah. They put 2 quick touchdowns on the board. It's 21-all. Yeah. And it took a Wheelersburg score with hardly any time left to win the game.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a Wheelersburg team who had Ironton on the ropes over here.
Yeah.
It took an Ironton kick return and a few other things to happen for them to win. So remember what we said. We said Russell will be a good team, just not yet. I think you're starting to see that transition.
Sure.
So, you got any thoughts about the Russell game, Sean?
I think it could have been a little bit of Wheelersburg overlooking Russell. Seeing
Wow.
an 0-3 record for Russell.
Sure.
And saying, and then Russell playing up a little bit more to their potential.
Yeah.
I read where TJ had said that he's got kind of getting his rotations and his depth down and moving some kids around to where they can be more successful.
Yeah.
And you kind of saw that,
you did.
with the way they play.
Coach?
And Patrick, he's going to make big plays throughout the year. He did get one on him. I thought Russell's fronts looked a lot better than they did the last. They kind of, like you said, they kind of gave up in that one game. They just quit after went down, scored in that game, and turned around and just gave up after. But against Wheelersburg, they took it all 4 quarters. There was time in there that when you're down 21-7, you could fold and quit, and they didn't. Tied it back up, and it made a ball game out of it. I still think Russell's going to be one of those. It's going to be tough in that district to pick out of the 4 teams again. It's going to be a tough one.
I disagree with what you said. I think Russell's just getting a lot better, and I think that's kind of a reality check.
Well, isn't that what I said, Ashley?
No, you said that Wheelersburg may have been overlooking them. That's what you said. I don't think so.
but Wheelersburg's lost a few games too this year already.
Well, you don't overlook.
They played some good talent.
Maybe so, but you don't overlook teams with the center snapping the ball of the quarterback's head.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen unless your defensive line's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
This is not the first or the second game of the year.
Yeah.
So, I think Russell's just and we'll talk about this right now. We'll just do it right now with Greenup, East, Ashland, and Russell. I'm telling you, you got 4, and I know the records don't reflect it. Ashland sitting at 1-2, Russell 0-3.
You're going to have some teams 2-1.
I can tell you right now,
going into that district game for the district championship.
I could make an argument that
2-1.
all 4 of those teams could be in the top 10 in 3A.
Yeah, could.
I'm telling you, I think they're all that good.
I'm not going that far. And the reason outside, you take out Class A.
Yeah.
Don't even talk about Class A. 3A might be the weakest of the classes.
Well, that's no doubt about it.
It
I
is.
completely agree
I'm
with
going to
that.
agree with you on that one. I think it is pretty.
Especially last
It's
year.
down, yeah.
Especially last year because I think, boys, I can tell you right now, I think Beechwood probably would have competed against Boyle County last year. I think that's how good Beechwood was, and they're 2A. So, I agree with that.
Top to bottom, if you took a top 10 of 3A, their top 10 would not compare.
Well, you looked at Belfry last year, 0-5, and turned it around, and then they finally won it. They won the state championship. I think 3A is the weak link in all 6 classifications right now in the state of Kentucky.
2A has LCA.
Oh, yeah.
Just a really
and Beechwood.
Good. And Beechwood, okay.
And Mayfield.
But 3A doesn't have anything like that.
No.
But I don't know. I do think last year especially 2A was better.
Okay.
I don't know, man. The top 3, I don't know. Top to bottom, I'd go 3A.
Yeah.
The top 3 teams, 2A for sure.
Sure.
So I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting.
It's just going to be interesting to see how it falls out around here, out of the district. Who wins that?
I think you
Who
can
gets
almost
the
put all
chance?
4 of them in a hat and pick them out, and any one of them could be your district
And
champion.
I really think home field advantages for these teams is going to be a big kicker. I really think you're going a 2-1 team's going to win it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do a little pat on the back here. I'm going to give myself some credit here with this one. Greenup County went to Lawrence.
Yes, sir.
Greenup County, of course, beat up on Fleming County. Fleming County made that interesting at the end. That was just a bunch of kids that weren't used to winning. They beat Martin County to death. Then they go to a Lawrence County team who people can say what they want to. I do not care. I know these kids. I know that program. Lawrence County is a pretty solid team.
Yeah.
And if you've ever played at Lawrence County, that's a tough place to play. Greenup goes down there and wins on a goal line stand on 4th and goal. Lawrence County fumbles. Greenup gets it and ices the game. wins, a goal line stand from a team coach that didn't have a real victory last year. They had a COVID win. You're going to call that a real win?
Yeah.
Because it's 1-0.
Big change their program. Big
Well,
change right now.
And not only that, but the kids know how good they are now. It's the confidence
They're
factor.
making it fun.
Well, they were good last year. You know, they had factors that no team should ever have to go through. And I'm telling you right now, guys, Greenup is as good as anybody in that district right now.
Yeah, sure are.
Greenup's a dangerous team. They are kind of that wild card who people really don't know and they don't know what they really are. But I'll tell you this, I'll go a step further. I think Greenup has the best player in the district on their team, Tyson Salmons.
Salmons is a dandy.
I think that he's the best player in the district. So they went down there, won 17-14. Ashland took a little trip down I-64 to Charleston. I missed this one. I know I picked GW, but I missed it. I said that they were going to get beat really bad. And early it looked bad.
Yeah.
What were they down, 21-0 in the first quarter?
21-7. They'd given up 277 passes.
It looked bad early.
First quarter.
And Ashland settled in. And what we said they would do, they were going to be really good, just not yet. And I think Russell and Ashland both took that step. They settled in. They put 2 quick touchdowns on the board. And from what I've heard, I didn't get to watch the game. I haven't watched any film. Ashland had chances to win that game. Ashland had chances to win.
They had a couple chances. You know, they were in the red zone once in the first half and got stopped. And they come back after they scored their touchdown. Khalil Vaughn with the interception, and they could deep in GW territory, and they couldn't take advantage of that. And again, it's just going to take
some maturity, some maturity along with some playing time. You got to get out there and get some playing time in, and get familiar with what's around your surroundings out there. A lot of these kids have not been in high school games that much, and when you've got good teams, you know this is a good football team out of West Virginia. You got to come to play, and like I said, they're another one of them teams. They're building up every week. It's getting better.
Strader's a real deal.
He is real.
He is really good. He's a really good. I mean, and you know, I'm guilty of it because I didn't get to see him run at all until he played against Boyd County. He is probably, I wouldn't say he's better than Lundy at passing, but he's top 3 best passers not only in this area but Eastern Kentucky.
He's got a better arm.
Yeah, he does have a better.
His arm is phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal, and he moves really well.
And to sit back here as a sophomore, and not like here again, a kid that's not played varsity but 2
I know
games.
we keep patting him on the back.
I know, and he
I understand that.
he does well. I mean, you know,
He does. I'm not denying that, but
it's hard to get him out of his game. He's just like calm and.
The credit for that game goes to the Ashland defense.
Yeah,
100%.
I thought their defensive line played very well.
Their defensive line came to play,
and the linebackers are getting better. Ingram's getting better every
Yeah.
week. I think Ashland's defense. Okay, they said, okay, it's 21-0. Either we can go home in an hour, let them put 36, or we're going to sit and fight. And they didn't score another point.
It looked like they made a few adjustments because the first of the game, you know, the GW receivers were running running wide open. Mm-hmm. But then the defensive line starts getting some pressure on the GW quarterback, making him run around a little bit, and the receivers weren't running free like they were. Yeah. They at least were being challenged at the point of it.
You can't sit here and let a quarterback have 3-4 seconds back there in a pocket and just get a look and scan the field and get to see all the receivers.
Well, you can't really run man coverage.
You have to. And I always said the defensive front is what wins championships. And Ashland's defensive front started picking it up. They played well. When you get pressure on a guy, that's where the mistakes happen. That's where interceptions occur. That's where turnovers.
Well, a lot of the teams around here run cover 0. So if you're going to run cover 0, you can't give the quarterback a lot of time to throw because there's going to be mismatches. You're going to have tight ends and wide receivers trying to be guarded by linebackers, and that's just not going to work. Really quick, Morgan County. We missed this one. All of us did.
Yeah.
Beat the door off Jackson County. Johnson Central guys went to North Laurel.
I picked Morgan County, though, did I not pick
No, you didn't. No, we all picked Jackson.
We all picked that, and they really.
Johnson Central went to North Laurel, and I think we kind of hit a running joke with the Fighting Reed Shepherds, and they may have used that as a little bulletin board material. Johnson Central got beat, Coach.
Yeah, they come up short. It's a young team still yet too.
Was it 15-14 the final?
15-14.
Yeah, and you know when Carter Conley went out early with and I heard he had surgery today. Heard it went great, and I wish the best to him. Fast recovery. We don't want to see any kid have to sit out, but it doesn't look good him from the rest of the year. But he's a sophomore; he'll be back, and we wish him the best. But you go away. Anytime you go away, you got to be prepared to play, and there's going to be things that happen in your game time. And John Central's best, what they consider their best running back, is yet to play. So it's interesting on what Coach Peck and the Golden Eagles are going to do up there. They still have a really good fronts, and they're still going to be in there considered. We'll see what happens in the future, see how they come out this week. They've got another big game this week, Saturday night in Ironton. So
really quick, Pikeville took care of Paintsville. Raceland took care of Rowan County.
Yep.
Prestonsburg over Phelps.
Yep.
Boyd County took care of Lewis really, really easily. Another close game that was in Flemingburg, Fleming County and Martin County. Fleming County snuck that one out. They had a big lightning delay.
Yep.
I did actually talk to the Conley dad and Mike. I know him pretty well, and he said everything's good. Surgery went well with the Conley boy. Any other finals we have here? Nicholas County took over Fairview.
East Ridge and Betsy
East
Lane.
Ridge, Betsy Lane. I don't have a final on that one.
Damn, I find it weird.
I thought it was East Ridge.
Knott County Central, McGoffin.
Uh-huh.
Powell County, Bath County, Powell County took care of business
East
there.
Ridge took care of Betsy Lane 54-35.
Yeah, I thought they beat them pretty good.
That's the way those games always go down in that district.
Isaiah Atkins for East Ridge, 15 carries, 308 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
That's a pretty good game.
That's a pretty good game.
When we come back, we're going to take a quick commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to break down a little college, high school, and the pros start this weekend.
Yeah.
When we come back on the Cool Hit Sports Network and Eastern Kentucky Athletics Media Network.
Hey, I'm Erin.
And I'm Michael. Come see us at Bowman's.
A heck of an opening game for the NFL. Buffalo and your LA Rams, Super Bowl champs. I'm gonna go ahead and make a pick. I think Josh Allen in Buffalo's too much. I think that he gets enough time to throw. I think Aaron Donald's going to do what Aaron Donald does, and that's get in his face. But I think Buffalo too much. Give me the Bills.
I'm going with the Bills, too. I think Josh Allen's the second best quarterback in the league.
Second, who's first? Go ahead and say it.
I'm going to say it. Joe Burrow.
Yeah, there you go.
No way. No way. No way.
Is this
Certainly ain't your guy from the Cleveland Browns or Cleveland Clowns, whatever you want to
No
call
one
him.
said that. I think Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league, and I would put Herbert at number 2.
I'm gonna go opposite you two guys. I'm gonna go with the Rams, and they're gonna start off the way they ended last year. I think they're.
Rams, Bills. Cincinnati.
Oh yeah.
Cincinnati's going to go on the road their first game.
No, they don't.
They're at home.
They're home.
Yeah,
They're at
It's
home.
It's Cincinnati.
Paycor Stadium.
They are at home. Of course, they got Pittsburgh coming in. Pittsburgh's got a new quarterback. Mike Tomlin's still the head coach there. I think Pittsburgh has a really, really underrated wide receiving core. I think as much as it pains me, and no, it doesn't pain me as much as picking the other one. I think Cincinnati too much at home. Bengals.
I do too. Yeah, there's no other team that I hate.
Cincinnati
watching
did well,
than
last year of
Pittsburgh.
getting what they needed for Burrow in this upcoming season. You know, they've got some nice linemen. I mean, they did. They went and got some good offensive linemen. Some good. It's going to be interesting to see where they turn out this year. But Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. A game that'll grab national spotlights, probably be the NBC game of the week. Tampa Bay is going to go to Dallas. Tom Brady's going to go play at Jerry's World down there, and I think it's actually the stadium's actually in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Great stadium, great environment. Anytime you go against the GOAT week 1, give me Tom Brady and the Bucks.
I'm going with Tom Brady and the Ducks. You know, to go ahead and just eliminate Dallas from the playoffs.
You know what? It's surprising how many Dallas fans we have in our area. It's just like,
You know, even though they have a former Buckeye and Ezekiel Elliott, too much Tom Brady in this game. Yeah, Tampa Bay's going to win this one.
this might be the most interesting matchup of the week, and of course it includes my favorite team, which is Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
They're going to go play Carolina on the road, and you know who Carolina's starting quarterback is, don't you, Coach? Baker Mayfield, who's going to have revenge on his mind. And Brissett's going to start quarterback for the Browns. Everybody's healthy. Of course, they got Garrett, Ward. They've got Clowney. The Browns might have their best roster they've had in several years.
Yeah.
The problem with the Browns last year is their wide receiving core was just not very good, especially when you had to run Landry at the 1 and Peoples-Jones at the 2. They're not going to have to do that this year. They've got depth at those positions now. If Baker Mayfield plays like Baker Mayfield, give me the Browns.
Baker Mayfield's going to throw for about 600 yards and run for another 200.
Here we go. This is how it is. Even when we're not on the show, Sean hates the Browns.
No, I hate the Steelers worse than I hate the Browns. I just hate the Browns because you like the Browns so much.
Well, I don't hate Ashland because you like them so much.
Well, no, I meant that, but because you're also competing with
Well, you're not going to have to worry about that. You know why? Because Cincinnati's not going to be even in the mix here before too long. They're not going to sneak up on anybody anymore. The Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow little connection, that's not going to work all season like it did last year.
Yeah.
And you want
I'm
to know?
picking the Browns though. It did spot Baker Mayfield.
Well, I know, but
some crazy numbers.
you want to know something else? The Browns were 2-0 against the Bengals last year, and one of them was a butt with them.
The last game.
What about the first one? What about the first one? What was the score? 44-14?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
a bad
God,
team.
it was awful up there in Cincinnati. Imagine, oh, God, it was awful. Anyways.
Well, I'm going to go with Carolina over Cleveland.
You
I think,
would, man.
Yeah, I think the defense of Carolina is going to control, because, like I said, new quarterback Cleveland, he has to put himself out there. I think too much defensive guys back from Carolina. I think Carolina wins this one.
Browns, Panthers. Okay. Let's go into some college. Guys, anytime you have a place to go, anytime you get a play at Touchdown Jesus, it's a big deal.
No
Guess
doubt.
what? There's a team in Huntington that's going to make that trip up to Notre Dame. And it's the Marshall Fighting Thundering Herd, okay? They're going to go play in Rudy's Field up there in Notre Dame with the Golden Domes. Notre Dame looked good for a lot of the game with Ohio State. Like I said, they really struggled offensively. I don't know. It's too early for me to tell if it was their offense that was struggling or Ohio State's defense is that much improved. I think Marshall makes this a game for a while.
Sure.
I think that you're not going to see – this wouldn't be a high school score where it's a running clock. Marshall, and I know Marshall probably played one of the worst football teams on the face of the earth in Norfolk State. No offense to them, too much Irish, Notre Dame.
I go with you. Notre Dame's going to be just a little bit too much for them in that second half.
Maybe
I think
a quarter
they'll play around.
No,
Quarter.
I think this is a game
I think
going
it's.
in the
I'm
third.
like you. I think it's a quarter. I'll give Marshall a quarter with them, but Notre Dame's going to have some things to prove. They're going to be a little, they was in that ball game.
Well, let me tell you
much.
something. I'll say this. I'll go out on a limb. I remember a time where Marshall went to Kansas State when Kansas State was ranked in the top 10 and came out with a win.
Yes, I remember that.
I would not be shocked if Marshall went there and won. Truthfully, I wouldn't be.
Yeah, but Bill Snyder still coached like he was in the Stone Age.
Yeah.
I mean, to be quite honest, his Kansas State teams were.
Yeah.
Hey, I can tell you right now, I'm going to say it right now, it will be a football game in the third quarter.
Okay.
Mark my words. Notre Dame. A team who was really underrated coming into the year, which is surprising considering they're always overrated. Tennessee Volunteers were not ranked in the preseason, which, listen, I can tell you right now, there's only two teams in this whole universe that I hate, and it's Louisville and Tennessee. I guess Duke basketball, I don't really hate them that much. I hate a couple of their players, but Tennessee, Louisville are the world's worst, okay? Tennessee's going to go play at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh came off a come-from-behind win to beat WVU. They should have lost that game.
Yeah.
WVU punted the ball. Neil Brown punted the ball on 4th and inches at midfield. If he gets the first down, the game's probably over.
Yeah.
Game's probably over. He ices it, and West Virginia's 1-0, and Pittsburgh's probably not ranked.
No.
I think Tennessee wins this game, and I don't think that it's close. I think Tennessee wins by multiple scores.
Yes, I agree with you. I think it's going to be big. Tennessee look like we've seen some previews on them this past week. They look like they're having fun again. Got some nice talent out there. Got some good receiving core. And I just think they're going to be way too much for Pittsburgh.
I wish that wasn't true, but I think Tennessee does win it with that ugly orange checkerboard. But I will say this: Pitt's got the nicest uniforms of all NCAA.
You think
those
so?
those blue and gold they had last
No.
week. Oh my goodness, they were. Oh, yeah.
You know what my favorite uniform in college football is? Coastal Carolina. That teal. I like that.
Yeah,
That looks really good.
That's nice blue collar.
You going with Tennessee also, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Tennessee.
Big.
A game that College Game Day is going to be there. It's only because of the historical relevance. These teams played the national championship game. I believe it was in 2009.
Yeah.
Alabama's going to make the trip to Austin, take on the Longhorns of Texas. They're going to make the trip. It ain't going to be a game long. Give me Alabama by as much as they want.
Texas may be rethinking their choice to join the SEC.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think maybe Nick may send a little message. You come to our conferences.
We're going to petition to be in the East.
Competition, this is what you're going to get. That's correct. I agree with you all on that. Totally.
Alabama. Louisville goes to UCF. UCF, of course, they claim a couple national championships. I believe one of them was, 2013?
Yeah.
Where they actually, they made the controversy that they claimed the national championship.
Sure.
They were left out of the college football playoff, so they just claimed it after they won their bowl game. They are not what they usually are, okay? But they're going to play Louisville, which means I'm going to take the other team. Give me UCF.
I agree with you. I'm taking UCF too.
Golden Knights.
Golden Knights.
And the big one for us, and I'll tell you, it's one of the. There's only 2 or 3 games where it features 2 ranked teams this weekend, and this is one of them.
Yes.
Kentucky's going to make the trip down to Gainesville and play the Swamp.
And the Swamp.
And it's a night game. ESPN 7 o'clock. Of course, Florida came up here a year ago. I was there. Were you there? You were there that game.
I didn't go that game.
I was there. We ended up storming the field. Florida went down that night. And if you go back, put rewind on for a minute. The week before that game, Florida had Alabama beat in Gainesville. I mean, I think it was 31-38 was the final. And everybody said, whoa, Florida's really, really good. And that was the only time I've actually seen a team lose and move up in the rankings. A lot of controversies come out. Media members saying that Kentucky's soft or whatever. Kentucky doesn't need to pay attention to that. I think Kentucky wins, and I'll tell you why I think they win. I think that Kentucky's edge defenders are good enough to keep Richardson, is that his name, in the pocket and make him have to throw. I'm not saying he can't, but I'm saying he hurt Utah badly with his legs.
Well, I disagree with you about the fact that Kentucky doesn't listen to that, because absolutely they do.
Talking about Vince Barrows.
Stoops loves the us against the world mentality.
Yeah.
Yes.
They still don't believe us. They still pick us 4th every year in the SEC.
Sure.
Let's go. They're saying we're soft. Let's go out there and show them, that we're not.
Give me Kentucky, and I don't know if I can't put a spread on that one. I think it's close. Give me Kentucky.
And I think I'm going to go with Kentucky too. I think Levis is going to make the big plays, and the Tavion Robinson. I mean,
what a game! Him and Barry and Brown both.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some dudes on the outside.
Yeah.
I mean, this ain't your older brother or your dad's or your granddad's Kentucky teams anymore.
Well, some of the granddad's Kentucky teams were pretty good, but they're not, Coach.
Well,
You're going to pump the brakes on us a little bit there.
going to pump the brakes on you guys.
Typical.
I'm going to do a Lee
typical
Corso.
Buckeye.
Just wait a minute
Not so
here.
fast.
like you said, you're in the swamp again.
Yeah, it's a tough place to play.
And both these teams have got some great elite athletes. Stoops has recruited tremendously in the last few years, but that difference, that not having that Rodriguez in the backfield,
That's huge.
that is a huge factor in this game.
Oh, you're getting
Huge
anxiety
factor.
just sitting there thinking about it.
And, Florida's got athletes everywhere. I just think it's going to be a really close game. It's going to be like the old days of, and I hate saying this because, you're putting Kentucky on the other side, but you remember the years when Kentucky play Alabama, they play Tennessee.
Those days are over, Coach. Don't even go. That road is
but
closed.
They played right to the end and they get beat.
Yeah, that's
I
what
think
Florida's
this is
gonna
what's
do.
going to happen this week. I think it's going to be a close game right to the end, and Florida's going to make a big play right there in the fourth quarter at the end and beat Kentucky.
So you're saying Josh Allen's not going to come out of the tunnel for UK on Saturday?
Don't know. We'll see.
That concludes our college games. When we come back, we're going to break down all of Friday night's games. And, of course, there's one game Saturday that Coach is really excited for. This is Eastern Kentucky Athletics and Cool Hits Sports Network. I'm trying to get this out of here.
Gillum Drug, 1237 Carter Avenue, Ashland, is a locally owned pharmacy devoted to providing excellent customer service, not found at the chain drug stores, and Gillum Drug will treat you like family. Stop by today and experience it. Gillum Drug, next to Domino's.
In the upcoming election, vote Eric Ross for Carter County Sheriff. Eric is an experienced police officer and a dedicated family man. With a 10-point plan, he will work to unite Carter County, increase community involvement, and improve the function and availability of the Sheriff's Department. With your support, we can make Carter County stronger together and a better place to live. Vote for Eric Ross for Carter County Sheriff. Paid for by candidate.
Let's go ahead and break down next week's games, okay, guys? And you're going to think I'm crazy when I say this. Wheelersburg's going to make the trip to Putnam Stadium, okay? And we know how hard it is to win at Putnam Stadium. And we know that Russell played Wheelersburg really, really well. And truthfully, after watching that game a couple of times, I can make the argument that Russell should have won. Sure. Russell fumbled the ball inside the Wheelersburg 5-yard line in the first half. There's a couple plays here or there that really affected that game. Give me Ashland. I think Ashland beats Wheelersburg in Putnam Stadium, and I think that Strader has a big game. I think that Braxton Jennings is kind of the cherry on top. He's going to get his, and he's starting to come into his. And I think the Ashland defense makes enough plays that Ashland wins. Give me Ashland for Friday against Wheelersburg.
Earlier, I would have said, I think Wheelersburg's going to do it, but I'm feeling better about Ashland week by week. The way they played at GW, I thought they played well. They improved from the Boyd County game to the GW game. They improved from the Raceland game to the Boyd County. I mean, each week they're taking another step, and I think they might take another step this week and get a win against Wheelersburg.
I'm gonna agree with you guys. The defensive line for the Tomcats is they're coming around, and Jennings is he's going to get better every week. Schrader is by far the best quarterback. I'm going to say I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think right now he's one of the top quarterbacks in the Eastern Kentucky too. What Spence said earlier, he's just so calm. He's getting better game by game. Ashland has a lot of speed at the receivers, and he's laying the ball right out to him. I think Ashland wins by 2 touchdowns.
Whoa!
Wow.
You can't be a homer for every team.
I'm not a homer. I just think the Tomcats will win this one by 2 touchdowns.
He's going to come in with the mascot suit on next week. He's really turning into Coach Course over there. Ashland all around. Morgan County at Fairview. I think the Cougars too much.
Too much
Morgan
Cougars.
County.
Too much Cougars.
Morgan County. Boyd County goes to Greenup. This is kind of like I've got 3 or 4 big games. This is one of them.
It's a big game.
And a lot of people, I shouldn't say this, but it's true. A lot of people in the Boyd County community will dictate whether Boyd County's had a good season, whether they beat Ashland or not. That's not fair. No. It's not. I think Boyd County's a really good team. I think that, they're kind of like what Russell was against Wheelersburg. 1 or 2 plays the other way, and Boyd County wins that game. I think Boyd County's a really, really good team. They're going to go play another really, really good team and a red-hot Graham County Musketeers team who I have in my top 5 in my poll. It's on the road. Tyson Salmons is really hitting his stride. I mean, Coach, if we had an area Heisman Trophy,
He's playing well.
He would be first in votes right now in the media.
Strong runner, hitting him.
Give me Greenup, but I think that this is not going to be an easy win for Greenup. Give me Greenup.
I think it's going to be a battle.
Yeah.
Too. And I agree with you. I picked Boyd earlier in the year. I picked Boyd even over the Tomcats. I just don't see. I think Greenup's came a long ways, and it's at Greenup, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm right about that. Yes, it is. Too much Salmons on the field this Friday night, and it's going to be Greenup.
Greenup County.
3 Greenups. Don't get mad at me, Coach Ferguson. That's just what I think, and we will get together one day and have lunch. Russell. Speaking of them, they're going to be at home again. They're going to play Lawrence County, who just came up just short against Graham County, who we think fairly high of. A lot of people, well, not a lot of people, there was a few people on our website and on our Facebook page who said that they were waiting for Graham County to play a really good team. Well, I can tell you what, I think Lawrence County is a really good team.
Yeah.
I think they're a really good team. Now, are they an elite team? No. But there's only one elite team around here, and it's Raceland.
Sure.
But I think Lawrence County is a really, really good team, and but I think Russell at home. I think Russell gets their first win of the year. Give me the Red Devils at home.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I think Russell. I don't think Russell will score enough for Lawrence County. I mean, Lawrence County's defense. I was trying to figure out a way to put that. Those 17 points that Greenup County scored. I mean, those the first 17 points that Lawrence County had given up.
Well, yeah, if you're counting Harrison County is historically terrible.
I mean, they're going to control the ball on the ground. They're going to run it down. They're going to try to run it down your throat, control the clock, and play good defense. And I think that will keep Russell's defense. Their front seven is going to have to come to play. And I don't know if they've got enough to stop the 300 monster that Lawrence County has in that backfield with Markham, Ferguson, and Crime, who each have averaging 65 or 70 yards a game so far this year. So
yeah, it's going to be a big one there. I'm going to Field and Henry R. Avens Stadium, but I'm going to go with the Red Devils. But I agree with a lot of things that you said here, 100%. Russell's going. I think that Patrick's going to get the ball a little bit more this game. I think Cruz is going to open up this week. I think I think the front lines of Russell, like you said, the defensive fronts, they're going to have to come and play. And I thought they played extremely well last week. I think they're going to come back with that same attitude. This being Lawrence County, and it is a game that they know they have to win to change their season around, to stay up there in the district. This, like you said, Coach, Lawrence County is a good football team.
Lawrence County is a really good football team.
And I think this will be a big win for the Devils.
Russell. Bellevue, McGoffin. Give me McGoffin. I'm going with the local team, man.
What? Oh, Bellevue. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's go McGoffin County. I was thinking, Bellevue is not what they used to be. I looked them up,
and they're it's going to be McGoffin big.
Yeah,
McGoffin big.
We'll take that.
Another really, really big one this week. And this one's a rivalry, boys. And if you want to go by terms of bitterness, this is as bad as it gets. East and West Carter, the battle of the barrel. And let me tell you something, there's old stories going around with people getting hit by 2x4s, fights in the parking lot, the fans don't like each other. And I tell you, I didn't realize how bitter it was. The first media day I had, I had Coach Champlin and Coach Barker there. And I asked them to take a picture together. I said, yeah, you can have a picture. You can't post it anywhere, though. Well, I have that picture, but I didn't post it. And I said, well, why? And he said, Coach Barker told me he was in a Giovanni's and some older fella who was an Olive Hill native, West Carter alumni, big West Carter guy said, are we going to beat them thieves down there in Grayson? So, and it's bitter, man. Of course, West Carter's hit some bumps in the road. West
Yeah.
Carter hadn't looked good early this year, and East Carter at times looks really good.
Yeah.
I think too much Raiders. I think too much Isaac Boggs. I think too much Messer up front. I think ESET makes enough plays down the middle of the field, and he takes care of the ball. And I think that they run wing T almost entire night. East Carter.
West has won 7 out of the last 8 in this series.
Yes, they have.
The only game that East has won was back in 2019. That was 39-34. But I think that East will take this one and break this little mini streak and probably go on a little streak of their own until we get a Carter County Central here in about.
Or until the two schools are merged. I mean,
Who should have a big knot in their throat when you
Yeah.
hear Carter County Central?
Yeah.
Johnson Central.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with you. It's going to be East Carter. I think it's just going to be too much talent on the field as far as East Carter goes Friday night, and they're going to take the barrel.
Coach, you had the Black Cats in your top 10, and they won again. They're 3-0. They're going to make the trip to Powell County, though. A Powell County team who's hit or miss. You never really know what you're dealing with Powell County. This is a really, really tough pick.
Black Cats.
It's going to be Prestonsburg.
Prestonburg.
You really think that? You think so?
Yeah. Totally. They're playing well right now.
Give me Powell County.
Oh, okay.
Hang on. I'm going to give you a chance to.
Because the reason why I say that is because I watched Estill County play Friday night, and Estill County was given all they wanted to by Powell County. That's the reason why that's behind that pick. I think it was a 14-15 game or so.
It was. They lost to Estill County 14-6.
Yeah.
Breathitt County 28-6. But they did beat Bath County 36-20.
Yeah.
On the road. But
Breathitt County's pretty good, Sean. I bet they're ranked in the top 10 in 2A.
Yeah.
Powell County. Give me Powell County.
All right.
Breathitt County's undefeated. They beat Hazard 29-27.
Brandon Brewer is not my biggest fan right now, but it's okay. We'll go to the Brick House, and I'll buy lunch, whatever. Powell County.
Prestonsburg Black Cats.
Yeah, but you're committed to the Black Cats over there, Coach. Putting them in your top 10. You're committed to them. I'm not saying they don't belong there. I'm just saying, the teams that they've played.
Questionable. All right.
Not questionable, just not very good. That's no knock on anybody. They're not.
Just like a non-conference schedule.
Yeah, non-conference games.
That's basically what it is,
Well, who's their first 3 games they've played?
Betsy Lane, McGoffin County, and Phelps.
Well, let me rephrase this. Betsy Lane's pretty solid. I didn't know that they actually beat Betsy Lane.
Yeah, first game.
That makes me think again a little bit. That is a tough game to pick. You know what? I'm going to fold under peer pressure here. Give me Prestonsburg.
All right.
I'm going to change my pick. Give me Prestonsburg. I didn't know they beat Betsy Lane. That's my negligence. Negligence on my part. Prestonsburg. Another really interesting game. This is a next-door neighbors to each other, pretty much. Rowan and Fleming. This is a tough pick. I think Bill Spencer has his guys too ready. I really like Kelly Ford. I like a lot of his kids. Fleming County.
I think I'm going with Fleming County.
I was on Fleming too.
I think the Panthers too much. The Briar Jumpers.
The Briar Jumpers.
Coach's favorite nickname. Is that your favorite one?
It's one of them.
Jumpers? They're going to make the trip to Paintsville, Coach.
It doesn't matter.
Now, in 2020, was it 2020 or no, was it 2019? Somerset probably had its best high school football team I've ever seen them have. They ended up winning the 2A title. Was it 2019, 2020, somewhere in there? But since then, they really, they're going through a real rebuilding stage right now. Paintsville, of course, they got running clocked by Pikeville, which that's nothing to hold your head about. Pikeville's really good.
So did Somerset.
Pikeville is really good.
This is a tough pick for me. I think where it's at really dictates. I'm going to go Paintsville.
Well,
Harris Phelps, Paintsville.
I'm going with Somerset. They did get running clock by Beechwood at home.
That's nothing.
There's no
You can't put
shame
any
in
stock
that.
in that.
You're
Yeah.
talking about number 3 team in the
Yeah,
state
you're
of
not.
Kentucky right now.
You're not.
overall.
There's no shame in that.
Beechwood hasn't even given up a touchdown
But
yet.
they have beat Garrett County and Russell County, who I think are probably pretty decent teams. Solid teams. And I think they'll beat Paintsville by about one of these same scores, 28-14 in that range.
Yeah, close game, yeah.
Who are you going with, Coach? Hinesville, Somerset.
I'm going with Somerset.
Yeah, he just likes the name.
Fire Joe.
So, okay. This is a game where I know we're going to have mixed picks right here. Rachel's going to make the trip up to Covington or Fort Thomas, up near Cincinnati. That's where Highlands is at, isn't it?
Yeah,
Fort Thomas
Northern
is near
Kentucky.
Cincinnati.
Northern Kentucky, up on the mountaintop.
Fort
very
Thomas
cold.
Highlands, and I think this game is actually going to be streamed by
Bluebirds.
Yeah, and Fort Thomas Highlands, historic powerhouse.
Yeah.
You start immediately naming players like Jared Lorenzen, Patrick Tolles. I mean, guys who've been synonymous. Guys who have done crazy great things. And the kid that plays for Notre Dame right now, the Mayer kid, Mr. Football, played. No, that's Cub Calf. Sorry, that was Cub Calf.
Collinsworth's boys.
Yeah,
Collinsworth.
I mean,
Jerry Kramer back in there.
Highlands has had the best talent some of the best talent Kentucky's ever seen.
Yeah.
Raceland comes to town, and I think that Raceland's not going to care who's played there before. I think Raceland wins, man. I think Raceland goes up there and beats Highlands in Highlands. Raceland.
To me, this is the game that will. I think of Raceland as being a pretty good team. If they win this could elevate that top to be. This is the difference between being a good team and a great team.
You're talking about Beechwood level.
Going on the road and beating a team with the history that Highlands has. With again, I think you're going to be up against numbers. I think that's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, Highlands is 1-2.
They probably dress
but they
100
lost.
kids.
They lost to South Warren. Holy cow! South Warren was
Warren's
14-0,
yeah.
state champion last year.
Yeah.
And then they lost. They lost to a pretty daggone good Simon Kenton team, 42-40.
Look how many rushing yards they gave up in that
Yeah.
game, though.
And then, I'm sure they came back with a 44-13 win over Campbell County.
Who's historically the worst 6A school in the state.
I wouldn't say that, but
And they are.
anyway, I think this is what's going to make.
What are you smiling about?
I'm thinking about poor old Lee Corso again because I'm going to have to tell you guys.
I'm not.
No, he's going to go. He's going to go Highlands.
I'm going Highlands.
He's going Highlands.
I've
Raceland.
thought about this all week, guys. I really have. I've saying, is Lundy going to sit back here, be calm, and get the opportunity to throw all around the field? Are the backs going to run up in them holes this week for the Rams?
They're going to have to.
They're going to have to. But here again, you've not played in Northern Kentucky. It's hard to play on that mountaintop. Been there, done that many times. I'm going with Highlands.
I'm the only guy that
I talk about depth and stuff. I don't know how many guys Highlands has that plays both ways, but I would say it's not very many.
Not very many. They usually put out 120 kids a year on the program. Man, they're always well disciplined. Their system runs on that mountaintop. They can't drive a vehicle. They can't do a lot of things during the season. A lot of people don't know that, but there's a big commitment there. Tough place to play, guys. I'm telling you, tough place to play.
Raceland,
If
Highlands.
Raceland does go there and they do pull this out, I think that's the opportunity to get them pushed forward to Pikeville into that maybe playing in that state championship. I really do.
2 games
But
left.
Just think it's just too much.
Highlands, Raceland. 2 games left, 2 really big games.
Yeah.
Louisville Central's going to make the trip all the way from Louisville down. They're going to play down in Pond Creek, place that's where teams' hopes go to die. It's almost like the Death Valley of our area.
I would think that's going to be a little bit of culture shock.
Well, this is not an unfamiliar place for Louisville Central. Them and Belfry's had a series going for a while.
And they've been there.
And they've been there several times. I think Louisville Central's too much. I think they're going to have too much speed. And Louisville Central, yes, their record doesn't reflect how good they are. Look who they've lost to. DuPont Manual, who beat Mail earlier this year and is ranked in the top 10 in most every poll, regardless of class. St. Xavier, who is the number one team in the whole state, regardless of class. And, that's 2 of their losses. Give me Louisville Central, and I think they win fairly easy. Louisville Central.
I'm going to go with Louisville Central also. Louisville Central took it to them in 2021, beat Belfry 37-6. And this traditionally has been a pretty well. They've played 9 times. This will be the 9th meeting since 2007, and Belfry's beat them twice. And
both of those times were in a state title game.
No, they beat them once in a state title game. Louisville Central beat them in 2012 in the state title game, 12-6. So the last time Belfry beat them, was
2016.
in the 52-30.
The best high school football team I've ever seen come out of this area.
I'm
the
going.
2016
I think I'm
Belfry.
going to go Louisville Central.
Louisville
I mean, this
Central,
might be
Louisville
better
I'm
than
going to join
what
you guys also. I just think there's just too many athletes on that field, and not going to take nothing away from Belfry, because you know Belfry's going to try to slow the ball down. They're going to run that wing T. They're going to bust up them holes, control the
The
ball.
young kids really
and
good.
try to run that clock off against them.
Yeah.
Because that has to be their.
And you know what? Louisville Central coach runs a similar offense. You wouldn't think they run like a power I. They like going under center, hand the ball off,
Sure.
and they're really big up
But
front.
they got so
physical.
many athletes.
They do.
And the thing about it is, you want to go in and you want to win this game.
Sure.
But how much do you show the opposing team? Because these two teams could very well meet again. You know, when it comes
Who are you
to-
speaking for, Belfry or John?
Either way.
Well, I can tell you that everybody knows what Belfry does. They've been doing the same thing
Yeah,
for
but
30
how
years.
much- Yeah, but do, you
But
know,
I agree with you. Yeah.
do you keep
this
it? You
could
keep
be
it
a-
very vanilla.
So you're
It's
saying
fun.
keep your cards close to your chest.
I don't know how the alignments is. Is the alignment set up this year that those two teams could face each other in the state championship?
No.
Or will they face each
Louisville
other
Central's in 4A.
Are they
Louisville
in
Central's a
4A
4A school.
Okay. I'm
So
sorry.
they will not. They couldn't possibly play in the playoffs.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are 4A. My mistake.
Yeah,
all right.
Louisville Central's actually 4A. Now,
They moved
now
up.
for a long time, they were 3A.
3-8. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Too much Louisville Central.
Louisville Central all around, and the game that's going to be played Saturday night. It's unfortunate the timing. God, it couldn't be a worse time. They're going to play the same time Kentucky plays. Johnson Central's going to make the trip up here. They're going to play at Ironton. I'll be honest with you guys. Yes, Ironton is undefeated, but they've been everything but impressive in their wins. You know, they can make an argument that they could be 1-2 and maybe even 0-3. They didn't look good against Jackson, and I know Jackson pretty good.
Jackson's pretty good.
They could have lost to Wheelersburg, and even Fairland gave them all they wanted for a long time. Fairland, you know, I think that was a 14-6 game for a really long time. Johnson Central, of course, lost to North Laurel, but that wasn't the big loss. The big loss was the Conley kid.
Season.
I think too much Ironton, where it's at, how loud that stadium gets, especially when a Kentucky team comes over. I hate to pick them. I hate to pick against Johnson Central. Give me Ironton.
Well, you know, I'm going to ruffle some feathers by saying this, is that it's the reasoning why it's tough for a Kentucky team to win at Ironton. And you all know what I'm talking about.
Well, you're not going to ruffle any feathers. Is
Y'all
the
know what
sky
I'm talking
blue?
about.
I mean, you're not going to ruffle.
I mean, it happens all the time.
Well, I think Russell knows that firsthand
That's what I'm saying.
over there.
Russell
with-
Ashland, we know.
Yeah.
We know why it's so difficult.
Yeah.
For teams to
There's
go.
no
Some
doubt
of,
about that.
some of them striped uniforms change colors. How's that?
Well,
They
when
don't
you've
always
got relatives
white,
of
black.
the coach back in the day calling the games, you know, that's got a conflict of interest there.
I've been over a few times where you've scored 40 or 50 points and you get beat.
What's the old story, Sean? What's the old story with Beechwood went over there and the lights went
The
out?
lights went out. Yeah.
That's a true story.
Well, I remember and this goes back a while. I remember when they brought the #1 team in the nation over there and
Kate?
beat them. Yeah. Well, not Kate,
Was
it
it
was before
Moeller?
Kate. And beat them on a mouthpiece call. Well,
No, that
Yeah.
can't be.
yes, it was Jamon Jackson's senior year. Sure was. And the kid, I was in the end zone area. Matter of fact, with Coach Matney, and watched the kid pull the mouthpiece out, make the cadence calls, put it back in his mouth, and call, and they beat. They scored, and it was the flags went out, of course. And then the next series, Jamon takes one like 60, 70 yards right in the last few minutes of the game and beats him. Might not have went that way, but it's tough over there. It's a tough place to play.
Well, you know,
Johnson Central's going to have to be 2 touchdowns better.
and I think that's a familiar feeling, no matter who you talk to. And it's no secret. A lot of people get their feelings hurt, because they think it, but they don't say it. So when they hear it, it's different than what you're thinking in your head, because it's like common knowledge for these River City teams. When you have kids that are growing up and playing football, when you play at Ironton, you're already behind before you get off the bus.
And people wonder why Ironton has to go play, has to play Johnson Central now. Why Ashland and Russell and some of those schools
Kirkland
won't go over there anymore.
This is a tough one to pick, especially
I think
Coach, I've coached over there.
Who'd you pick,
And-
Sean?
I'm picking Johnson Central.
picked-
Johnson Central, Ironton.
And I've
gonna pick
I've
Johnson.
tried to sit here and weigh both factors out. That Ironton has some great talent, they really do, and they're playing decent. They do have a great defense. Offense is struggling.
They are.
They're struggling, especially up front. I look at Johnson Central. You got a lot of speed here against a lot of power. John Central's still
People
got that
keep
front.
saying that. A lot of speed at Johnson Central.
No, I'm saying Ironton's got
Oh, I
a
was
lot
going
of
to
speed.
say, where's
John
it at?
Central's got a lot of power still
Yeah.
up in their front lines. Running backs back, one that's been out for
Okay.
last
Just
minute
say
decision.
It. Just say it.
JC. I'm going to
Johnson
go with
Central.
John Central.
We'll come back after this. We got a couple extra notes. You're watching the Cool Hits and Eastern Kentucky Athletics Media Networks.
Hard thinking thing to
The award-winning florist All That Blooms has a new location, 402 East Main Street, across from Pritchard Elementary in Grayson, with gifts for all occasions including birthdays, sympathy, holidays, and anniversaries. Shop Monday and Tuesday 9 to 5, Wednesday 9 to 2, Thursday 9 to 5, and Saturday 9 to noon, closed on Sunday. Call 474-0390 for All That Blooms at 402 East Main, your full-service florist serving Grayson and surrounding areas. Check them out on Facebook, allthatblooms.com. That's BLOOMZ.
Here at Infusion Solutions, one of the things that we're most proud of is the relationship that we develop with our patients.
From the people on the phone to the delivery drivers, these people are a part of my life. They take care of me. I would recommend Infusion Solutions to anybody.
Discover what we're all about right now at Infusion Solutions.
And we are back. Guys, we're going to wrap the show up this week. And I just want to thank everybody that tunes in to us every week. We've been killing it in ratings. Really. We've really been doing good in ratings. And, of course, we want to thank our sponsors that help us do this. And Sean, I want to thank him for coming, and Coach. And, of course, MJ, who's fighting a pinched nerve over there. We want to thank him. And my biggest eyeball, I'm going to continue to say this, and I can't kind of beat a dead horse. I think I'm keeping all my eyes on that district, East, Greenup, Russell, and Ashland. I think that's kind of the focus right now. Is my focus right now is watching that region, that district. That is the most interesting district maybe in Eastern Kentucky right now. That district. Who's going to win that district? I think it's anybody's guess right now.
Well, my final thoughts. I like to throw a little shout out to some of the other sports. And Boyd County Volleyball has cracked the top 25 in the KVCA coaches poll for the first time. They're at 25, which I think is still vastly underrated. So outside of Boyd County, everybody else, you could throw them in a bucket and pull them out of a hat. They're all pretty equal between Russell, Ashland, Fairview, Raceland, or Brown County. They've all got some good teams. But Boyd County, shout out to Coach Katie Neltner and her group out there. They're doing it without Audrey Biggs, who was a big part of their team last year. They were an Elite Eight team,
Yep.
And hopefully they can take that one step further. And like I said, I still think they're vastly underrated. So,
Coach,
shout out to them.
Shout out to all the sponsors, like you said, so this wouldn't be possible.
Right.
Thanking you guys for allowing me to be on the show with you guys. It's been a blast, and it's a lot of fun. A little bit different being on a show than being on a field. But I also want to say it's awesome to see some of these great talent we have in this area. I always said that Eastern Kentucky and some of the football schools right here, we don't get notarized as much.
Right.
The players don't, especially when it comes to awards time, stuff like that. But the two big games I'm still going to go with is the Raceland Highlands and the John Central and Ironton games. Two game changers for all four programs. A lot of fun, and here again, I wish the best to all these in sportsmanship, and good luck to all these teams for the rest of the season.
guys, we'll be back Wednesday night, next Wednesday, 7 o'clock. same time, same place. This has been a presentation of the Cool Hit Sports Network and Eastern Kentucky Athletics.